Hi everyone, welcome to the next episode of the Cathode Ray Podcast. I'm here with my friend Steve Nutter for another week. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good, Lewis. I'm crazy, man. I just got a new dog, and I didn't get any sleep last night. So,
how planned was this dog purchase?
Oh my gosh! So my son's birthday's coming up, and the number one thing on his list has been to get a pug, and so I've been looking around, and he specifically wants a boy pug that is black, and they either come in black or like a fawn color. And he wants a black one. So we've been kind of talking about it. And then everybody from my family was like, oh, hey, do you just want us to throw in to buy this dog? Cause they're not like cheap dogs to find one of these things.
Yeah.
So we found a family nearby. When I say nearby, it was like 30 minutes drive in to the country, and they have, nice pugs for sale. So yesterday they only had one black male left, and I was like, I've got to go do this now. So it's actually a pretty funny story, Lewis. I can't believe we started this. So I actually had to go. I get a call from them, and they're farm folk. Like, these are like, so in our area they have these people that are called Mennonites, and they like don't use very much electricity. Okay. If they do, they don't have like a lot of automobiles. Now they do have some machinery, but they like to ride around like horse and buggy still. Okay. Family, and it's like, so they're like old school. They have this beautiful farm out there. So that's where I'm going to get it. But the lady, she has to call me from a landline. So I'm waiting around all day yesterday to get this call back on the dog. And she calls me, and she's like, I'm like, so, how do you guys take payment for the dog if you want it? And I'm like, you need to have cash. Well, and I'm like, it's like, so it's $1,000. And I'm like, I have no cash. And it's a holiday. And I'm like, I don't know if I could pull this off. But I went down to this ATM down the street, and I'm like sticking my card in. It only let me pull out 400 at a time.
Yeah, I do this.
And I'm like, there's some sketchy people in there. I'm worried that I'm going to get like mugged because they're just watching me get like $800 out of this ATM. Then I had to run down the street to another one and get 200 more.
You have to turn around to them. You got to turn around to them and go, it's for pugs, not drugs.
Yeah, no, I was like cramming the money like without even looking at it straight into my pocket like this, and I was like, I was out of there. I knew that there was like sketchy. I mean, like crackheads at this one, but anyway. I made it out to the country. I saw these dogs, and I was like, all right, I'm taking the dog, I guess. Here's the money.
That's great, man. Really home. Nice.
Oh, yeah, it was so great. Then I drove home with him. I had to hold this pug in my lap, and I'm trying to talk to my wife on the phone, on speakerphone, tell her I've got him. And then I hang up with her, and the poor pug, since we're driving around these country roads that are turning, he looks over at me and just starts throwing up all over me. So I had to ride home 20 minutes covered in this dog puppy throw up all over me.
Pug chuck.
Yeah. Then I got home and gave him the dog, and I was like, I've got to go clean off. But yeah, my son was really happy.
Oh, that's nice. And Cole is the name of the dog.
Cole, yeah. Cole. So if you want to see a picture, you go on check out our social media accounts. There's some up there.
Sure, man. But he's
going to be getting along with Brutus, so that's been fun.
That's also great. A friend for Brutus. That's very nice.
Yeah.
He's got someone to talk to now.
He's been actually happy about him, so it's all good.
Oh, good. Are they getting on?
But what about you? Yeah, what about what's going on with you now?
Me, I'm traveling a bit for work this week, so I'm staying downtown because we've got some stuff happening, shows down here. So I took myself a little Airbnb. So I've got the mobile set up here, the crap-ass Mac camera here, but the sound should be okay. Just focusing a lot on the local work right now, doing a lot of work with the comedy shows. I'm planning tours with young comedians, which means a lot of work, a lot of leadership work, guidance, getting them on board, getting their ideas straight. I was running a show last night. I'll be at a show tonight. So yeah, that's why, and so today I put out my first Tell Him He's Dreamin' video. It just dropped right now, and I was a little bit nervous because I haven't done something like this. The first time you put out a new idea or a new concept, and it's version 1, and it's all right, but you still, so Tell Him He's Dreamin' is my video series, just me looking at videos, looking at the prices of CRTs in my local area. That area is Estonia, as many of you know. And I was inspired by Steve's Market Watch videos. I loved watching those ones and him breaking down prices.
Yeah, I've got. I'll have to come back eventually and make some updated Market Watch stuff but I like your approach even more. See, I was sitting there with my approach, and it was always like I don't know why, like something you'd see on like CNBC.
I liked it.
All the crazy,
The deals. That's why I liked it. It was very
sales.
analytical. It was good.
Yeah. So, but I really liked your approach to this one. I actually got to watch it before we got on here today. It was hilarious. So I'm sure people enjoy it.
Yeah, so if you want to check out,
fun.
it's just me rambling about that. I got it down to 13 minutes, so hopefully it doesn't take up too much of your day. But I'll try to do maybe one a month or something on this right now. It's not, and that, I guess that's the irony of the Tell Him He's Dreamin', is that the prices are not that bad in our local region. Actually not that much of a problem. So a little bit of a clickbaity there. I don't know if you thought you were going to see.
I thought, I was watching that one, and I was the prices. This is all relative where you're at, but at the same time, who wants to pay $100 for some of those things? Like you say, they're sitting there for 7 weeks for a reason.
And I think in the next video, I'm going to go into more depth discussion. I want to talk about prices of CRTs and why the price is interesting, because price is always supply and demand. That's what it should always kind of be in a market. And the prices are going up because there's a speculation bubble. Everyone thinks they're going to be worth a lot, so they're going up. So then you get, weirdos in this small Estonia going, oh, it's worth a lot of money. But who the hell is buying them? Where's the demand? There isn't the demand, because it's not like, if I can post it, then okay, I can post it to some guy in America and flip my thing.
Yeah.
But if I have such an asset that can't be moved, then there isn't demand, even though you think there is because the internet tells you there's demand. Oh, I'm going to get into that in the next episode. Economics, baby.
Yeah. It's really kind of an illusion. Yeah, depending on, because like you said in that video, the size of your country to the size of America, the continental United States has 300 million people that can do commerce with each other pretty easily over the internet. 300 million. That's a monumental size increase in market ability. And, so it's night and day, where here you understand more the inflated pricing, and it has to do again with supply and demand, where there's no good supply of certain stuff. And then people get the confusion that thinking just because something says Sony Trinitron, it should be priced at a PVM level. But that's all fun. I love it. I really liked how you found. I'd been talking about SECAM with some gentlemen at the museum. And I couldn't believe you found a SECAM set on there, which I was thinking, wow, you actually would be in an area where they probably would be around way more common than they never see anything probably like that in America, unless somebody specifically brought it from there, imported it themselves, because why else would they do that? But so I was loving that.
If you're listening, I found a set that is an authentic set from the Soviet Union that was made in the Soviet Union. I don't have an exact date, but it says on the side, made in USSR, even in English you can read. And we don't get a look at the input ports because it comes in the box with the foam, like it's really legit package. But I am 99% sure that would be RF only, and that would be SECAM, because SECAM was the standard of the Soviet Union because they had good diplomatic relations with France. So for some reason, that happened. I wish, but the guy wants 300 big ones for it, so a little bit dreaming.
Yeah, it's expensive. Yeah, and it's in a box, So in like my area, that's not that crazy of a thing, especially if it's something like those. So now people wonder what like the CRTs I'm looking for, and it's weird things like that are intriguing to me. Not so much anymore, just like RGB monitors and things like that. I've always got those around me constantly. So I like the more obscure set that you're just not going to find normally, and that SECAM, of course, is something that triggers me, get me excited.
Now you're making me think about it. I'm like, oh,
yeah, well, I don't know that it's, it's in your area. You could probably find one for a better deal that's at least just a SECAM set. I'm sure that's just a primo one. But
right. Good
condition
we were talking
box manual before about signals and video signals, and SECAM, for those of you that don't know, it's like NTSC over composite, PAL over composite. So NTSC, these are regions of what your video format would be, and SECAM was a specific one for mostly Russia. I believe it had a couple other countries in Africa and things like that, random spots.
Well, it would have been what PAL. It was came out of France.
And France, right.
So then it was territories that France was influencing, like some African colonies and stuff like that, or countries they are now. And then for some weird reason, the Soviet Union. Right.
And it was kind of built on the PAL system, like the same. It's formed out of that PAL, so it's more like a PAL signal than an NTSC signal, which I believe should run on the same timing as PAL, as opposed to like where the sped up 59.94.
Yeah, it's 50 hertz. Yeah, I mean it's running off that native power here.
So it's it would just be interesting to actually have a set like that. And I was the only things that I know that for sure there's like. I know that some of the PVMs do SECAM, and Mike Cheese stuff does SECAM for some reason. I don't know why. Like he's still. It's so funny that I was pitching Mike Cheese stuff to the people from the museum, and they were like blown away. I was like, yeah, look, he even supports SECAM. I was like, do you have like some weird SECAM art piece? Mike Cheese got you covered.
Maybe some French museum guys.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Some French piece or like some Soviet piece about like the suffering of, I don't know, the workers of the Soviet Union will come out someday. And it needs to be displayed. They showed me stuff where they would have problems where they would decode and try to, NTS take stuff from PAL and convert it, and it was a mess. Like they would have certain images and it would look so chopped. It would just be like interlacing on the screen, where it's been digitized and it's just straight like lines missing of an image, like a girl in a field. Yeah. So and it's just like a nightmare because the stuff's been decoded with bad gear, like in the early 2000s, and they just have a copy of that. But back to dreamin.
I've only got one unit which I know outputs SECAM, and that's my Sega Master System official one, designed for the Soviet Union. Check my channel, I got a video about it, and it outputs SECAM. But I found it surprisingly difficult to find any device, like anything that I've got, that I could plug in and it would say, yes, this is SECAM, yes, this is PAL, yes, this is NTSC. Because like you said, a lot of the BVMs and PVMs will do it, but they just read it as PAL. They'll work it out fine, but they just say it's PAL and then it works.
Yeah, it doesn't. Well, so if you have one of the there's, as I've just been working on some of them, the 40 series PVMs, like 1340 something, they all have a little indicator on the front that says actually NTSC PAL SECAM on it.
Oh, cool.
And if you put composite video or S video into the machine, it'll actually light up whatever it's actually showing. So because I've seen PAL and NTSC, but I don't have anything that outputs SECAM. So that's probably be a better idea, is try to find something like what you have, the system first.
You know what, maybe I gotta put the hard word on Mike Simone and be like, hey Mike, I know you're doing 40, 50 cores at a time, but I wonder just for my own personal weird reference, if Mike would be able to modify one of the cores to output the SECAM standard instead. That would help me make obscure videos that a bunch of y'all are interested in. I'll hit Mike up, maybe.
You're becoming the S video. That's what I was about to say at the intro. I was just going to ask you what was going on lately in S video land, because you're becoming the S video man.
I'm the S video
composite right now. So
yeah, we're just moving along with that. But what one big thing is that we know that Mike Simone needs a PVM. He doesn't have a PVM to work on, so he doesn't have. So that means not only PVM, but not only he can't work on PAL either, because he doesn't have a PAL set or something like that. So we were just commenting that maybe you've got some sets there. And this week we found RGB Rob made this video that's going to be very useful to you and I in repairing the black and white color issues on 8 and 9 inch PVMs, and I have 5 of them that have black and white colors, and Rob just made a video that he claims fixes this, so I'm hoping that works for you too, Steve.
Yeah, that's so the only reason it intrigues me, so before I've done a couple videos that fixes this thing, but it just involved like going through and basically resoldering all the points on the boards till you get to a point that's somehow losing continuity. But Rob said there's actually a service bulletin, which we got the service bulletin like stack sent to us, and we couldn't find this one yet, or haven't been able to really locate.
Maybe we
it.
didn't get them all or something.
I don't know. It's very possible. So anyway, there's supposedly he made a video about this, and people have been around. Rob's made videos longer than I have. He took like a hiatus for a while, and then came back and has been making like more recent content. So maybe we should get him to come on. But you know how difficult it is to organize Australian time period.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, I had never heard of him before, so I heard RGB Rob, and I'm like, who's this? Is he ripping off? Is this a rip off of Bob? Is this like?
He's been around forever.
Bunfix? No, yeah, he's the OG. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
he's before Bob almost. I guess.
Yeah, but well before me. Yeah, so he was one of the guys that you'd watch videos on before, and so yeah, he came out with a long, detailed thing on this. And the thing is I wouldn't want to spend that kind of time and work into trying to figure that out on like 8040s, which are just the S-video and composite most basic PVM that's in the 8-inch series. And then it goes 8041. And when you get to 8041 is when they start adding component and RGB. So people are always wanting those. Well, now we actually have a use for the 8040s and to keep them in circulation. So, you know, with the Mister setup.
Yeah,
like,
the combination of
right?
Mike's work and now if we've got a more, you know, this reliable service fix for the black and white issues, bam, those two things have just come together. I think they could be, my point to people out there, if you're looking for a PVM, consider the cheaper S-video only options because the S-video from Mike's Cause is looking great when it's tuned properly. And I think it's a really reasonable solution now.
Yeah, and so hopefully I still have some of those. I've been looking. I know got at least 2 here that are just a part. Because what I've done before is just salvage them for parts, which is unfortunate. But they do have enough parts in them to make them useful in other rebuilds for the RGB monitors. But now if I still can fix one of these, maybe I can get one of those to Mike and get it a little bit easier to him. They're lighter. And if something happens to it in customs, you're not as concerned because it's not as expensive as the RGB units. So that would be a positive. And it would do everything hopefully he would need. But that would be ideal to get those back into circulation. And like you said, I mean, I too feel like that composite thing, you said there's not a lot of composite TVs in your area, but in the United States, there's seriously like 70% of the CRTs you're going to find are going to be composite or S-video. A lot of them didn't have component video. Even so, majority are going to be S-video and composite only. So hopefully people will just be more interested in looking at those more.
I hope so too, and I think also that comes back to my previous point about Sorg, who runs the Mister repository, and you know he's had mixed feelings, let's say in the past, about rolling the S-video stuff into the mainline Mister core, and I just wonder, you know, if he's a European dude, he maybe just hasn't seen how many of these sets are in America. You're talking 70% of sets. I mean, it's flipped. It's or more than flipped over here, right? So where he's coming from. So maybe there's just not that perception of how many sets are composite and S-video in America.
Yeah, because the S-video is very significant in America. That was, when S-video came out, that was the deal. Like component video came out later on, mostly after the year 2000. So anything from like before 2000 and into 1995, which I love that 90s era of tubes. It seemed like that was some of the best tubes. It's before they went flat screen and got all into changing things. So I loved the 90s tubes, but you're going to find it in America. Most of them are just going to have composite and S-video. And if people don't want to know how to RGB mod or you know, get a set done like that, that would be unbelievably helpful to them to just be able to experience that. And we talked a little bit about the the signal differences, and one of the problems with NTSC video And this would be when you're taking that video, you're still getting that video NTSC from the mister or whatever. It's coming through to your set in either S video or composite video. It's always got to be, it's color erratic a little bit more than PAL. And that's just the way from the signal was built originally. So there's a lot more need for color adjustments. So the good thing about getting those S video sets is you get all those expanded color adjustments on like a PVM, where you get handy phase and chroma adjustments right on the front of the set that work perfectly to a balanced color on NTSC and S video signals. If they come through and they don't look as bright on your screen, you can use your phase and chroma on there and get the colors a little bit brighter, make them pop a little bit more. And so that's a great benefit of using those, PVMs too, and even some of the consumer sets that have those settings.
A very interesting point that I think just bears a bit of repeating there, as you were telling me before we went to air. So PAL has some level of color correction going on that it knows it can automatically adjust chroma and phase and so forth, where NTSC, it was designed with a thinking that, the consumer's going to have these knobs and they're going to do a little bit of manual time at the bottom there. So if you've got a composite or S-video NTSC set, you've probably got those adjustments, which means it's very easy for you to dial it in the front of your screen.
Yeah, it was especially, this is really early on too, when they're coming out with like the first color standards in the 1960s for broadcast television, where all this originates from. So when they had the difference between the standards, America had their own thing over here with NTSC. It was a little bit faster timing, almost 60 hertz, but not quite, because it didn't quite match up like that. And then the timing is a little bit slower on PAL. It's 50 hertz. However, PAL had a higher line count, that's why it's like 576 interlaced over 480i interlaced video for NTSC. So you have a higher line count, but it's running at a 25 frames per second, where this is running at a little bit faster than that, 29 point something frames per second.
Sure.
And so it's really interesting, to see the differences there in the signals. And then also, like you said, the last thing was that the NTSC had, it was designed to where it would need originally some kind of color correction by either like a filter or something on the end user's end, whereas the PAL had this, that was part of their signal when it was being generated, was that it had an automatic color correction into it, so it had a much more consistent color when it would come out to sets in PAL region area.
And I feel as well, I can feel someone's listening at home to this, and I can feel their spider senses tingling. Yes, we know that there was actually, just to also be clear, PAL and NTSC are not necessarily linked to 50 and 60. They mostly are. PAL is mostly 50, NTSC is mostly 60, and that's almost all of it. But in some areas, and I don't completely understand what it's doing to do this, but there is such a thing as PAL 60. And I think it's like Brazil or something in Southern America has that. So there are these weird sort of in-between standards for whatever technical or political reason at the time they picked that up. But mostly it's PAL working at 50, NTSC working at 60, 95% of the time.
Yeah, and if you're wondering where this information comes from, I'll be completely honest with you. You can go and you can just get on Google and you can go to Wikipedia and pull up anything about analog video or NTSC, type that in, type in PAL, type in SECAM, and it'll tell you exactly what I just told you. Right. This is
where do you think we're getting our info from?
Well, that's I wanted people to understand this is not just stuff I'm pulling out of my ass. I'm just I actually had to do a presentation on this. Right. And when you do a presentation for the museum crowd, you have to have resources. You can't just be it's not like a fourth grade project where you're kind of just throwing stuff out there and then you didn't really show all your resources or something. This is legitimate. So,
sure.
Yeah, it's, and I want to tell you, if you want to know more about the original video signals, the display. Let me see what this video. Let me find this video, Lewis, and I will find it, and because I want to make sure I get the right one.
Got to get the right info. Sometimes I want to say
Yeah.
the wrong thing just so someone in the comments corrects, and you get the engagement. Isn't that a
know, right?
bad pattern, a dark pattern on YouTube?
Yeah. So now, of course, I can't find it. It's from the Displays Gamer.
Oh yeah, gee, he's the Displays Gamer.
Okay.
He's
So
early
it's
stuff.
Displays
Wow.
Gamers. It's from 3 years ago, and it is called "What is 525 Analog Video?" What is 525 line analog video? It's 14 minutes, and it's awesome. It's packed full of cool stuff, telling you about, because if you hear that, NTSC video is designed off 525 lines, but you're actually only seeing 480 in the picture. So that leaves all these other lines that are part of the display that are out of the screen, but they're actually doing stuff. It's got a bunch of your vertical sync timings in this blanking area, and that's the area you don't normally see. And when you underscan like a PVM, that's why you see stuff going on. Or like there's great demonstrations in this video. I love this video. I actually used it and like referred to it in that presentation more than anything else because it was so helpful. And but it's like he breaks it down. It shows you what every single line is doing. 480 lines of images, and then in an NTSC, and then all this vertical sync timing and closed captioning information was hidden up there. And he shows it to you on a line and shows you an example of when it comes on and how you could just see the little data flickering back and forth because it's being sent on the blanking lines to the TV set. It's just amazing to me how much stuff like the CRTs are actually doing, about
that video. I've got it. You've reminded me. I've watched that probably, 5 times already. And it's the sort of video from Displays Gamer that I go back and I watch once, I don't know, I want to say even once every 6 months, let's say, because as I learn more, I get more out of that video. Now I'm realizing, I want to watch that again with the new shit that I learned about S-Video and stuff. How does it apply? I can understand more. So excellent resource, Displays Gamer.
Yeah, and we should probably, we should have
get
him
him
on too sometime because he's a friend of mine. He talks to me all the time. It's funny, he moved to Nashville like right before I moved out. So he like reached out. He's like, "Hey, I'm moving to Nashville." And I was like, "Oh man, stinks. I'm just moving out of here." So
we got to get him on. That's a good one. All right, let's talk to him. Okay.
That's incredible. Like he knows so much about video resolutions. He's done some great. I went back and watched. He did some really cool CRT repair videos and things like that back in the day too. And his new stuff is all about coding, and I love watching it because eventually, it's like you say, if I ever wanted to get into coding, I'm sure I'd be like going back and watching that again and saying, "Oh yeah, now I understand this more of just what's going on." And it's like these videos. He has videos about chroma and luma specifically, and they're really good on that too. Just detailed as all get out. It's like people should be sitting there in college courses, and I was like, professors, you can't even like do a better job than just to play this video and like to have an open discussion with your class afterwards. I think.
Sure. It's good. It's those videos. And you're now this week you released the video about the 40-inch Mitsubishi.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
Mitsubishi monitors. Yeah, and that's doing really well. A lot of interest in this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it was the huge 40-inch video, and it's like blown up. I don't understand it. It's gotten more views than anything that I've done. It's up to almost 30,000 views.
Jesus, 30.
Yeah, I don't know what it's like keeps plateauing, and then like last night, it's already been out for 3 days. It peaked at like 1,100 views in an hour at like 9 p.m. and I was like, what the heck? So I don't know if somebody like bigger gave a shout out to the video, or if like it just hit all the right buttons where the picture from the thumbnail was a generated thing from YouTube, and I actually thought it looked cool, so I went back and snipped the image from the video and then put the RetroTech logo and a Mitsubishi logo on it. And so it had a really intriguing look because I was degauzing the tube, so it had this big wacky discoloration in the front of the set. And I was telling you, I had sat there and messed with the audio because when I went to Houston, I forgot my bag that had my audio gear in it. And it was the only thing I left behind. So I had to use the audio from my clicky phone, and it was terrible audio because it was the busiest day of the museum. and there's like thousands of school kids walking by there, like looking at stuff in the hallways.
But you can't tell. You can't
But
tell.
it's not so. Actually, I finally got somebody who was an audio engineer complaining about the sound quality, and I was like, well, finally, it takes to 30,000 views for somebody to finally complain about it. So I was, but yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's great. I hope it gets some more regular viewers now and people interested, maybe, or maybe it's just something that goes. I don't really. I mean, you know. It was interesting. I hadn't put out a video before that for like 12 days because I've been working behind the scenes. And I definitely think that since it's such a big one, it's like the 40-inch thing is cool too. I had never seen anything over 36 inches. I know there are more out there that were made. Sony made like a 43-inch one, which, like we had said when they did their marketing, I don't know how that big that tube actually is. What if it's only 41 inches? You know?
They get a bit funny.
43.
Yeah, they
right.
get a bit funny.
So I'd still love to see one of those. I do have a very large one. I guess I tease that because I'm like, what am I going to follow up with this more short video on big CRTs? So I've got more big CRT that I have to fix this week.
Okay. It's good. I like the video. It's on a discrete topic. It's very visual that's so cool when you're waving the ring around and it's showing on the TV. That's such a cool thing. It's a unique thing. It's a new angle. There's not that many videos out there on 40-inch TVs and that sort of thing. It comes from you. It's a unique thing. I guess, recently yourself and to a certain extent myself are kind of hitting topics. We're thinking about the topics. We're drilling into the things that we're really into, and they're kind of connecting. It's nice, man. It's 6 minutes as well. Usually do those 20-minute ones.
Yeah,
so maybe...
it's much easier to. This video was super easy to make because there was just not much to it. I wasn't able to do much besides manipulate what was done, and I was quite fortunate that the room was completely blacked out, so I could turn all the lights out, and I could get great footage. I don't know what it is about phones. Everybody asks me, what do you shoot CRT screens with? And I don't know what it is, everybody. It's phones. Phones do a way better job for some reason than any camera I've ever used. I don't understand it. It's just, and you just got to take a lot of video footage and lots of different angles, and then just keep the little segments that work. But I was able to get some really great shots of just Metroid run through screen and edit that together, which showed huge fat scan lines, which were gigantic on a 40-inch set. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. I wish I would have gone through and had the time to film all those cool sets they had there. But it just didn't work out this time. Hopefully next time I'll have an opportunity when I go back.
I think there's going to be more opportunities. It's all right. And you live and you learn as well. I always do that. I'm always with all the stuff. And then I'm like, yeah, I got enough B-roll. And then I start editing. I'm like, oh, gee, I wish I made more B-roll. So you always learn.
Yeah. So that was a fun little video that's done crazy well. So
yeah, it's doing great, man. You've done
fun.
Well. It's nice.
It's fun to have some of that stuff happen, I mean, but we both have been talking about this too. Really, I think that from compared to what we started things and started talking about this at the end of last year, everything. I mean, we're both doing. I feel like things are progressing well on kind of like our vision of the way that things are going. I'm glad to see that. So things can be like hit or miss sometimes, and I feel like that's just the way it always is, and we're prepared for that. You don't get too high off the highs or too low off the lows, right?
Sure.
You just got to keep on rolling. And so I really find like that there's been some awesome things that you've had come out too that are just like sticking, and it's really I feel like they're right. There's something about that shorter, get to the point. A lot of people still want that, as opposed to like the algorithm loving these 3-hour plus documentaries on stuff or something farther.
I think it's a bit of both, not to say that 15 minutes is bad either. You just hit it right. It was the right amount of content. It was the right interesting thing for that, or to have some sort of mix of them. Because I also love those 20-minute views where you're really tearing down that monitor and showing us all the bits and pieces. That's what your channel's based on. I want to see some of that stuff as well. So a bit of a mix.
Yeah. And I won't change. I mean, I'm still like, I'm going to roll through and do the normal thing like that. That's still going to continue because that's just what I always do. And that's what part of it. So I've been really grinding through an amazing amount of repairs since I got back.
Okay.
You know, we talked about
That's mostly what you've been doing.
Kind of backed up, yeah. And I've gotten, I don't know, I might have a buddy of mine who's like this fighting game champion. Mine and Bob's buddy Arturo. He sent a couple of 14 M4s, and I got those two fixed up, and it's been like ones with crazy problems. It's a couple of BVMs that were really old from the 80s with millions of hours on them, it felt like. I got one of them working. The other one is just like the tube's dead.
Okay, so the tube's gone. But what did you have to do? How did you get the one that was working? How did you get that working?
So all the majority of the problems were bad capacitors. And it was interesting because like the ones in the BVMs actually had been recapped before. And so I could go in there, and it was terrible. This is the worst part. I was going in there. I took a bunch of pictures. I'll post them somewhere. And it's just where people would go in, and they, 20 years ago would recap these boards, and they didn't clean their flux off. And so it's like you look at it now, and it looks like a big pile of rust booger on every trace that's impossible to get off without some extensive cleaning. So I'm having just what I'm doing, cleaning and checking traces, and then replacing the capacitors that have been replaced once already because they're fried again because it's got so many hours on it. But yeah, there's a lot of that where people replace capacitors. The 14 M4s that I worked on for art, actually one of them had been replaced with a wrong capacitor and a terribly bad, burned up almost the pad and everything. I had to remove these two that had been replaced, replace them with good ones, and I got it to where it's working again, but it needs a full cap kit. It's got a lot of hours on it too, so it's like I'm at the stage now where I'm going to recap those two.
Okay.
14 M4s, so I got them repaired. Now they can be recapped. But so the 14 M4s, the BVMs, I did have a 1942Q that was shipped here in the crate. It was shipped in one of those big crates.
That you said were really good in that video, yeah.
Yeah, but the guy decided to use UPS to ship it to me, right? UPS sucks, man. They suck. You know what they did? So I live on this crazy steep hill. I come out. I'm like, I think this is going to show up anytime now. I'm home. And they dropped the thing at the bottom of the street, like down the hill. So I had like just at the base of the hill where my mailbox is, which is like down. I mean, again, a steep driveway. So because usually people will put it on a fork truck and back up and just drop, or not a fork, just a hand truck, pallet.
Oh yeah.
And so they didn't do that, and I was like, freaking great. So I went down there and I got it, and it looked like it had footprints all over it, dings in it, and I was like, how the hell? And then I got it up there, and of course the power button was smashed all in. The bottom bezel was like cracked in and stuff, and I was like, what the? And it looked like they had just like thrown it out of a truck or something and just like smashed. So I was sitting there, and I'm like, dadgummit, because I'm pushing the power button, and it's not doing anything.
Okay.
And it's it's not doing anything. I mean, it's just like it won't spring or spring back. So that means the little attachment inside the button has snapped from the actual button. But the button was broken in the way where it was turned on. Okay? So like the button is a mechanical button with a little extension piece of plastic out of it. And then that plastic breaks, and then the button is stuck in either on or off.
Right.
And you can't really manipulate it once that piece is broken off. It snaps off. So that was broken. The bezel had some damage and things like that inside, but it would power on, and for some reason I couldn't get any picture display on this thing. And so I'm like tweaking it around, looking inside. The pieces of the yoke plastic had popped off. There's like some other things in it dinged around, and so I've messed around with it, take it apart, and I'm like, dadgummit, I'm gonna be pissed if this doesn't work. And I finally got signal into it, and I got the tube light. It looked great. I was like, holy crap, the picture looks great. It still looks really, really nice. And I sent him a message. I said, look, the picture looks great. I actually have one of these power buttons because I bought one from Pat ages ago.
I remember you saying, yeah.
And I was like, I've got an extra one. I can put this in place of that, and I can epoxy up the damage that was done inside the bezel, and then I could put it back together and then service the rest of the monitor. But like, your cost has obviously gone up from all this. I was like, okay, great, let's do it. Who cares? Let's just do it, get it fixed, and we'll try to charge UPS on the back end. And this was the first day. Like, I got it, and I just like started tinkering with it right away. And the next day, I'm out there in my garage moving stuff around from outside to inside, and the UPS guy pulls up. And he gets out of his truck, and this time he's got the hand cart, right? And he's like backing up the hill, and I'm like, hey. And he's like, hey, I heard that something was damaged, so I'm here to pick it up. And I was like, well, nobody told me. You didn't arrange anything with me. And so the guy who had gotten it had filed a claim for damage, but UPS just doesn't even tell you. They just show up, and they like pretend like they've scheduled an appointment. And I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm supposed to take this back to get it fixed. And I was like, well, I'm here. I'm the one. So I said, I'm the one who fixes it. And he was like, huh? And I said, yeah. And he said, so where is it? I said, it's down in my basement in like 100 pieces. And it's completely pulled apart, being fixed. I said, it was sent to me to get serviced. And you guys caused additional damage that I have to repair. And he's like, oh, well, yeah, I'm supposed to take it to a repair place. I said, look, I'm the only dude in the country who does this. I'm the best at it, and I'm the only one. And he was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, so I don't know what you do. I was like, I don't know. And he's like, so, all right, I guess I won't take it. And I was like, yeah. You want the box? I was like, it's right here. You want to pay and get the box or something? And he's like, all right, no. And then he just wheeled back the cart and went on with his route. But I was like, what the heck? I was like, no, you can't get it back. I was like, and then I told the guy shipping it back to him, I was like, no ground. Use U-Ship. U-Ship only for the big ones with the crate. And of course, the U-Ship showed up. And no joke, U-Ship showed up. Like, this thing came to me last Tuesday. Via UPS. I ripped it apart that night. Wednesday, UPS came there, did all their shenanigans. Wednesday, the rest of the day, I fixed it. I recapped it and got it all ready. And then I spent Thursday testing it, just letting it run and playing like some games on it. And then Friday, he's like, U-Ship's going to be there to pick it up. And then they text me, and they're like, yeah, we'll be there in an hour or two. And I'm like, okay, great. So I went out there and I pack it better in the crate. And they show up, they take it, dude. They put it in the back of a van and strap it up. And they had it to the guy in Michigan, 800 miles away in like by the next morning.
Wow.
And just delivered it to his door. And so he had no problems with anything, like no damage, because it was just literally a small shipper that just comes, picks it up, and takes it straight to your door and straps it to their vehicle inside.
Yeah,
so
right on.
Great experience there. And
so U-Ship is the one to go.
Absolutely.
Do you think it was
go with the bigger ones? Absolutely.
Do you think it was that truck that like literally went all the way to that guy? Do you think they swapped it?
Yeah,
to
it was.
truck?
Oh yeah, because I talked to him because they were like, yeah, that's what they do. They pick up a load on their way somewhere. So I'm right. My home is right off a main exit where I am. Like, it's a quarter mile off the exit to get to my house. So it's pretty easy if people have routes. He said, yeah, we're on our way back to Michigan, where we're from, and I pick it up. Because I'm always talking to those guys. They're really cool. They're all small business guys, right. Or like just people doing things, making money, and not big companies. So I'm always talking to them because, too, if I could get their information and have direct contact, hey, if you got somebody in your area, you call them directly. You don't even have to talk to U-Ship, right? So
okay, good. So that's the moral of the story. I mean, talk to you if they're shipping something to you. Talk to you about the shipping first.
Yeah, well, I know. Well, I had said, use U-Ship, and then he's like, I use UPS, and I was like, oh no. And sure enough, because if it would have come in perfectly, it would have been a beautiful, like, no damage peak piece of hardware that would never have anything. But like, the button got pushed in such a way that it, like, there's two pieces of plastic inside the bezel that the button screws into to be held in place. Those were like cracked and like bent. So I showed some pictures of how I did it, but I had to like bend them back almost to make it to where I could put them back flat So I had to like damage them a tiny bit more. And then I have to get some really high-end JB Weld style epoxy. Like 2 parts, you mix it, and it's a paste. And then you repaste it back together. But to keep it from bending, I had to stick a toothpick in each one of the holes to hold it straight. And then I put a piece of cardboard wedged in there, and then you just punch a hole in the cardboard so it holds the toothpicks where you need them to be. And you let it sit for 12 hours, and it gets you right where they're supposed to be. So I was able to do that. But it's still not like, hitting it and it's a perfect button. It's not like the perfect, like a new one. It's not like that perfect on and off experience. You still got to be like a little just slow on it. It's fine, but it just silly irks me.
Yeah, sure.
Like,
I mean, rebuilding, it's like some civil construction you've got going on. They build a little framework and then some scaffolding for it.
Yeah, it is. It's a little ghetto scaffolding, but it works. That's the secrets. That's why I was like, this is the secret sauce that people are always like, how do you do this? How do you keep these from going to like the trash? It's like, well, this is a good example right here. The rest of the monitor's perfect. It's just a bezel. Can we fix it? So yeah, that. Okay, I've got a lot of new cool tools also recently.
Okay. What have you picked up?
I got the most expensive fluke meter you can find on Amazon. It's a lot of fun.
Fluke meter? What is a fluke meter?
117. It's the top brand of multimeters like you can buy. I believe this was like something ridiculous, like $250 or something for this one.
All right. But you found a use for it. I mean, you use it enough.
Because it could go like way low. Like I could put it on ohms and check ohms way into like the thousandths, and like it just is so accurate. It's top quality. It's like the cream of the crop for meters. It's got these weird things I haven't even tried yet, where you could put it in a volt detection mode, and like just put it up next to stuff and it'll detect voltages and tell you how much voltage is like coming off. So I'm going to do some interesting experiments with that. I got this. I got the new Bad Mama Jamma Wriggle oscilloscope.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. Saw the pictures of the oscilloscope. Yeah, looking cool.
So that's
really good. Yeah.
That's been unlocked. So you get it and it's like in a locked mode, like it's not as good. Like you can, but there's a firmware. You update the firmware, and then you go like do this like seedy, I guess.
So it's like a jailbreak.
Stuff.
It's like we're doing to the
analog.
Jailbreak.
Yeah. Exactly. There's a jailbreak for it, so it makes it like a way better machine than it's meant. Then it turns it into like the $1,500 version they sell, because basically they sell a $1,500 version and then like a jail locked $500 version kind of. On it, or $450 or something like that. So
that's crazy. They haven't worked that out yet. That they still can't.
I don't know. They care. I don't know, because it's been there for like years. Like the tutorials I watched were like 5-6 years old, and it was the same process. So nothing's been stopped. There's that. There was, so I can use those, to do. I mean, you'd be surprised how much easier this is making a lot of these repairs for me. There's still instances now where I have to remove components to check them. And I can tell because I'll get readings with this and I compare it to other crappier meters I have and other things. So it's just really making it diagnosis better. Sure. And then I haven't used the scope yet on anything, so I'm interested to see what I'm actually going to try to figure out with that. I don't really know much about that.
Right. It's more the signals coming out of something you want to analyze.
Right.
Rather than necessarily
so maybe
going
for like
into
RGB modding things, or looking at the signal of composite and S-video coming out of TVs from now on to see to make sure that's tuned properly, right?
Right. It's something I don't quite understand that, and kind of in my ignorance, I asked Mike Simone. I said, would it help? Like we're making all these comparisons of this output shot and that output shot. Like, is there some more scientific way to do it? Would a scope do it? And he said, maybe, but kind of not really. It's not kind of where it's coming from. I was like, well, can we analyze something on a scope to determine if it's precisely where a level should be? But it didn't quite work like that. So it's going to be cool. I mean, you've got to have, because I think about what you do there, and you say like, well, I recapped that BVM, and I know you literally that's still hours of your work. But if you've got the best tools, you've got a great soldering iron, and you've got that beautiful Hakko desolderer, which I need to drop the money on that, because desoldering is just
that thing. I would not know what to do if I didn't have that thing.
How could you? You couldn't do a BVM.
I couldn't. No, I wouldn't want to do anything
without the Hakko desolderer. It's perfect. Like
not for through hole components. No way.
Okay, sure. Yeah. You couldn't do it without, yeah.
No, I need it. And I clean it all the time. I take it apart and clean it like after every 2 or 3 jobs because I want it running perfectly. Because after using it for years, you figure out, you don't want it running super hot. That thing can go so hot and it will just burn a board in half. Like, it has the potential. So you have to be, of course, you're working with old stuff from the 80s, 90s. You have to be able to get that just hot enough to not at all burn the board, but also the next technique is learning how to push it where you're just touching like the legs of the component mostly to soften the solder, where you're barely ever even touching that board. And you use that to, one side you're wiggling the component with like your hand, and then the other side you get that nice juicy solder liquefied, and you suck it out, pull that thing out, and then you just like have the wiggling part perfectly clean. And that's when you got your technique down. It takes a while, but then you're like, you love that thing. I don't know what I'd do without that thing anymore.
Absolutely. I got to get, what were they, like $250 or something still? How much does something like that worth?
Yeah, they're about, I want to say $250. They're like, let's see what Amazon, you can actually get, if you're in America, and in some areas around the world, Hacko itself will sell you the products. Like, you can go to the Hacko website, and it shows their regions in the world where they're available, so you can get it directly from them, and they're usually fair priced, like the same price as Amazon. But let's just see what that's running. Yeah, you're looking at right now, Amazon has them at a $270.
Okay, fair enough.
It fluctuates. Sometimes you get a coupon too, get a little bit off that. $270. It's a great piece of hardware though.
Oh, I want one. All right, good.
Now, there's cheaper versions of that. I don't know that some people use, but it's the one I use the most. I have a hot air station. I don't use it as much as the Hacko, not nearly as much. And then there's some other vacuum desoldering tools that are not Hacko that may be good, but I just don't know. I've never used them.
I guess you're mostly removing through-hole capacitors. That's a lot of this work,
and
right?
Components like that are through-hole.
Through-hole.
The good thing about the Hacko, it's the FR, I think it's the 301 is the FR301 is that it's completely mobile. Like, you can take it easily with you. Comes in a case, so it's very easy to take it with you and use it anywhere. Because you can run into places, like I went to the museum, and they had one, I think, but I knew for a fact they had a soldering iron. Like, I talked to them. Yeah, you definitely got. So I don't. That's a kind of a pain. Even the small one I have to wrap up and pack. But this comes in a wonderful, handy case. The desoldering tool. So you just take it easily wherever you go. So I always take it wherever I have to do any kind of work like that.
Okay, man. Did you say you had some slides?
Yeah.
What do you?
Yeah.
So
you want to look at some? Let's look at some. Let's do some back to some screen sharing. Let's see.
Cool.
Screen
Let's
2.
do some show and tell.
So we were talking about the good old tell him he's dreaming, which is so funny because the guy, his kid's named Steve. Steve, tell him he's dreaming. Steve, what you doing? And,
I didn't pick up on that one. I'm
I was
working that one.
laughing. I was like, yes. So let's tell him he's dreaming. So anyway, whenever you came up with that concept, just posting it, I had to go, and if anybody wants to, they should. I had to go find that movie on YouTube and watch the entire full movie, which is great, hilarious. So, because I had no context of it here in the United States, it's an Australian thing, right?
Very Australian, yeah.
Yeah. So but this is just a great example. Type in Sony Trinitron on eBay, and this is the newest listed items. You look at some of this baffling things. This is just a 13-inch from 2002 FS100. Not even like you say, all the taglines here. Vintage rare gaming, just insanity.
And does this person know how to ship a monitor after all our discussions already?
And $90. I mean, I doubt it. That's but it's only 13 inches. So for $100 or however $90, they should be able to ship I hope ridiculous. So. It's even greasy and dusty under there.
Oh yeah, when they're all crusty. Oh, I hate that.
It's probably anyway. that is just like typical here in the United States how bloated the market is. Now I have one of these, and yeah, like here you go, $12 to ship it. You're definitely, even for a small one, it's gonna be like broken. There's no way it costs $12 to ship that. Insanity. You get a lot of this crap, these way worn out tubes. Somebody on here lists these all the time. These worn out as hell 8-inch ones, and these two, which at first sight for a BVM to toy around with for parts, it doesn't look bad. But these people are realistic on their shipping charges.
What's that? Sorry,
$208 to ship it, which is probably realistic. To pack it and ship it, I don't know. I mean, the crate, it's expensive now to ship.
Dude, again, that weird thing with the Sony difference in sizes. That's a BVM. It says BVM 13, right?
Yeah.
I have more of those, and they're 14. They're called BVM 14s here. There's something, the power region.
You notice they're all in. These are the NTSC ones.
Yeah. The power ones all have one number. You've got 8, I've got 9. They're 13, I've got 14. 20, 21. There's something going on. I don't know. I think it's not like that number doesn't represent specifically the tube size. It's something like this is an indicator for that size tube, and the NTSC one is always one number smaller than the power one.
Oh my gosh, dude! What the? Look at this one. Oh,
it's just a TV.
Tell him he's dreaming. Holy crap! What is this monster? All right.
Oh, it was 1,700. Mr. Generous.
What is this monstrosity of an eBay? Oh my goodness, Israel. And they're shipping it to the United States for this cost? What the heck?
Can you even get it into the United States? We'll go through that one.
Holy, and look at this attempt. Look at this funny attempt to get like a fancy photo here where you've got, look, he's got his like LCD screen monitor in the background with like a trippy, cool purplish and blue backdrop. Took some
just a
marketing
regular set.
And and it's not even a high end one at all. No. It's got SCART input. I don't even know. That looks like, what is this? There you go. So it's a 50 hertz television.
Okay, it's a PAL set. All right. RGB SCART.
So literally, somebody would want to pay this money to just get a PAL set. Give me a break,
dude.
Goodness,
if we're talking, that's the prices, right? If there's some world, if where 1,300 is the price, and then what's the shipping? Wait, 350. Okay, look, for that price, I will fly to the United States. Bring one of those TV sets with me. I'll make it happen in the luggage somehow. There's enough to cover me to personally deliver it to you in America.
Isn't that just ridiculous? I mean, I got all kinds of sets. The gaudiest. Look, rare with kabooms. You're the rare retro gaming inputs here, baby. Gosh, a sucker's born every minute, so maybe they get something. Now, this is actually not a bad deal. I pulled this one up earlier. Look at this one. This is if somebody's in
medical, nice,
Mississippi, and they could go pick this up. They got make an offer available, right?
That's all right, 600. That's all right. Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a good condition 20 M2 MDU from 2003, the super late model. So if you're able to pick this up and like make a deal for $500, that's a steal kind of for PVM now in America. Yeah. This is the great one that has the RGB sync. Double line, so people are always like, what's the difference? This is why this one's more desirable, because you have 2 inputs for RGB and component that are switchable, so you don't have to you do not have to have, you can do one input for component and one input for RGB, and it's just a button input.
That's not very common,
screen.
Right? That's not
no
common.
Most of them just have one that's switchable on a PVM.
Yep.
So that's a great deal for an eBay price for that. So that's cool.
I have one for you, Steve. Actually, can I send it to you in the chat? Maybe you can.
Probably.
Wait, here. I'm going to send it to you on Facebook Messenger. You bring it up. You've got the video running. So this is a little sneak preview for my next video. My Tell Him He's Dreamin'.
All right,
did you get the chat
that up? Yeah, it's somewhere. I've got my Facebook thing already open somewhere here because I was looking at Facebook because I was going to show you Facebook's actually way more reasonable than
Click on
way
that link.
More reasonable.
So this is in my area. PVM 14L4.
Good grief.
$1,000.
Golly.
He's
The
dreaming.
1404 is not. It's not the progressive model for anybody who's wondering.
Oh,
It's
really?
not the
It's
one.
interlaced only.
Yeah, well, no, it's progress. I'm sorry, it's not the one that does digital. Sorry,
Okay.
not that. I mean, it doesn't do. I don't believe this set does 480p or anything higher. It's just 240p and 480i. It just looks exactly like the L5, and it's only. It's again. It's never. I've never seen one of these in the United States ever. So I don't think it's ever sold there.
Yeah, the color,
let's look at
the
this.
tech chart
Let's look at
report's
this.
only 15 kilohertz, so it's only a 480i
So,
monitor,
right.
14-inch.
Well,
but for
no, it could.
$1,000, mate.
I mean, it can go PAL or NTSC.
So there is that, sure. I mean, that's standard though. That's absolutely
Yeah.
standard
Oh,
for
okay.
these monitors. This one doesn't have any control panel either. You might need the BKM.
Oh, it actually does have a control panel.
Oh, is
It's an illuminated button system on here. You press down on that right there, and it will illuminate a bunch of controls in the front, just like the
cool.
14L5. It does have the high-resolution tube. What this is similar to is like the 14M4U unit,
Okay.
where that has a 800-line tube, so it is a higher resolution tube, and it still does analog-only video. Now, this has an SDI card, which could do an analog SDI, so it does have some options for that. Sorry about all these stupid ads, but you know.
Oh yeah, it does
I
got
don't
the
think-
SDI in.
Yeah, but I've never actually tried the standard SDI, but let's see if they even say anything about.
Yeah, SDI. I mean, it's not that interesting. You just get a
Nah.
480i signal in. That's
Yeah.
it. It doesn't do. I know someone's. I read Bob was trying to do some tests.
do
You can't
color
get
stuff.
240p over it. So look, this is
There's
a
a
nice
lot of
monitor.
information here.
I
It
would-
is
yeah,
nice
they've just-
monitor.
They've just copy pasted a nice monitor, but I'm not spending $1,000.
No,
on
I mean
this
you
one,
shouldn't. This is
Even in
it's
America, I think
not
this
even
is too much.
tested pictures. I hate that when people don't.
Yeah, they probably don't know how to test it. He keeps
I know. I
popping
hate
up.
when people don't test them. I'm sure.
And
it's
you know
gonna
those
sit
ones
there
that you
forever.
watch them and they come and then they go and people keep trying their luck to see if
Yeah.
they can. They
Look.
don't need to. I'm like, no, mate. So,
So,
yeah, that's
We
my
saw the
contribution.
trash on eBay you're looking for. It's kind of a hunt and just daily searching. You could search a couple times a day, and the good listings come up and then they disappear because people buy them right away and they're smart. They're like waiting, which
And
you
so is-
should be. You
is
shouldn't be
Marketplace-
desperate.
Is Marketplace a little bit better because it's maybe more local region oriented?
Yeah, this is all regional. Of course, Marketplace is going to be mostly consumer sets, which is
Okay.
fine. I think that, but look, I love consumer sets, and especially smaller consumer sets. So anything that's like the 13, 14 inch and smaller, I will get if it's something that I want.
Sure.
That's a CRT. I don't really care. The problem is nowadays it's becoming very difficult to find anything under 27 inches or it's like
Really, the small
everything-
ones. Yeah. Okay.
Everything is big. Everything is huge. It's like this free Trinitron. This is awesome, but it's 32 inches.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
but again, here, you find it, take it. It's very heavy. It's upstairs. 3 days ago, come get it. It's free. That's so
all right.
you can still find that stuff here. Here's a cool stack. This guy just free older TV sets, all work, good for retro gaming. Even tells you, and just passing them on. So there's another big
Wait,
boy Sony.
what's that little widescreen? RCA wide? Is that a widescreen off to the left?
I don't know.
Kind of
That's a good
looks doesn't
question.
quite look 4:3,
No,
or is it
it
just a
doesn't.
perspective looking down?
Who knows? It could be one of those weird photos where you pull your phone and you do like half. You know how you like? I saw on my phone you could do a button and it like zooms back a little bit, like shows more of the room, but it's more of a weird fisheye. So maybe that's it.
Maybe it's something like that. Yeah. Okay.
So
it's just
but
RCA,
anyway.
so I don't think RCA
Yeah.
were very big into that.
But so tons of free stuff. I mean, even like if you want something cool, I bet you get the. But they're again 27 inches, nothing small really.
smaller ones, I would say
And
that
then-
that corresponds to me locally
Here's
as well.
somebody selling, 80. That's just silly, right?
Yeah.
$80 for just a normal ass.
If there's
27
there's a 14-inch Trinitron in my local area, I'm getting the car and I'm going there. I'll take it.
You
I'll
should.
take
I-
them. Yeah.
I just paid $75 from that store.
Oh yeah, the Texas one.
Yeah, for one of those with a remote.
Oh,
just because I want to
Batman.
look at there. These are not rare at all. listed 20 hours ago. Look, but I mean, honestly, $50 a piece for these is the goodest price you're going to get. So if you want these, this is a good deal. Especially if they have to have the remotes. Do you think they have them? Both are missing remotes. So you don't really want them.
That's how you talk him down. You got to talk him down on the price then. No
got
remotes.
Some cool sharp tape.
That is dope
too.
though.
But yeah, that's so. I see those two a ton. The McQueen and the Batman TV, not rare really. But there's all kinds of options. This is a good place here. I mean, this is in Pittsburgh, so it's not near me. But it says it's a smaller. Oh, I'm in need of a small one. Of course you are. We all are in need of a small one.
But wait, someone's got the grid there. The grid pattern, is that the 240
Oh, yeah. So this is, look, somebody trying to pull up and sell their JVCD series. Here we go. Tell him he's dreaming.
He's dreaming.
$150. Look how long ago it was listed. 8 weeks.
That's the telling one, isn't it?
It's
Yeah,
you
watched them.
I like that. I like the, yeah. So I guess that's not that might be the direct 240p cart because it doesn't look like a,
a flash card.
Like a flash card. I don't know. Maybe it is. But
I mean, the geometry
that's not even the greatest picture.
Isn't it? You don't think so? I can't tell.
I mean, I don't know. Because look, you could tell maybe there's some extreme bleed over here on this.
Well, it's that thing. When he wants such a premium price for it, then you start going like, I don't know.
Then you nitpick it.
Yeah, you start nitpicking. Yeah.
So there's just, I still think that this is probably like the best place to find. See, now this one, if I saw this out somewhere like at a flea market, I would just buy it. 13 inches color. I have no idea what LXI is. Never seen one. Sure. Manufactured September. But $10, man.
Mate,
$10.
Beautiful.
Why not get it? It's got an on-screen menu. It could probably be modified. Who knows what kind of inputs it got? As long as it's got a composite. Let's see. It just says channels.
Looks pretty reasonable.
That would be the only problem is if it didn't have composite video input because then it would be more difficult.
Oh, that's going to be a real issue. RF only? All right.
So you don't really. So that's a possibility. But yeah, man, that's that's cool stuff. There's always something. It's definitely more regional, but the further down I go, the further away it's going.
The smaller markets, okay. The smaller markets, the regional markets. I don't know if Craigslist is still a thing happening.
Yeah, a little bit.
Different. Okay, a little bit, yeah.
It's all dependent on your area and whether people actually use that stuff, really.
Yeah, sure. So, what are people using in your area these days? A lot of people have gravitated to a marketplace because, it's...
because of the fees and all the stuff going on right now on eBay. It's kind of... a lot of people have moved on from selling there. There's still Etsy. There's still a guy causing all the trouble on Etsy. People were complaining about, the same dude, Nick, selling stuff, and somebody got ripped off or something recently. I'm not sure. I think we mentioned that a while back. But I would...
Yeah, I wouldn't, for selling inside of Estonia, I wouldn't go eBay. That would be weird. There's our local platforms that we use because they've also got not only that, it's the local platforms are hooked into the local delivery services. So I can buy my whatever, I don't know, my SD card from the local, it's called Oster, and I can automatically tell it to be sent to the package automat, the package machine, like at the end of my street. So I can say, deliver it there. And then when it comes in a day later, then I get an SMS that says, go to the box at the end of your street or at your local mall or whatever it is, the shop's down the end of the street. And then you can get it from there. So we've got this locker system in Estonia, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's way better. Because one of the things was I went out of town one day this weekend, and I bought that $500 oscilloscope, and it's like, oh, it's showing up on Sunday again. You're like, dadgummit, man, you can't even go out of town on the weekends anymore. So now I'm like, I'm gonna have to worry about a $500 machine sitting on my porch like anybody, forever. So
and it was okay in the end. They
it was okay.
And,
I've got a bit again, my porch is all the way up this hill, so I'm always like nervous whether the people are going to be lazy and don't come up and put it under. And it's got like a covering. And so if you pushed it all the way up against the door, it would be nice, but you never know. I mean, sometimes I'll come up and they'll be like, again, in the driveway. It's just like, I don't have, any idea where they'll put it. So yeah, I'm going to install my own locker on the pole down at the end of the street and just say, "Put my stuff in here now."
Yeah, that's a thing. We have that as well. Again, I sound like an annoying Estonian person because they're really advanced here, so they love nothing more than going, we have that. But we do have that. We do have a company called Cleveron, who I believe are selling to Walmart or installing some of the package machines for Walmart in the States. But they have a thing that you can buy like a big mailbox, and it's got a code, and that can be hooked into the delivery system as well. So you can say, hey, I got a Cleveron box. Here's the PIN code or somehow, and then the bloke comes and he knows, boop, 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 puts it in your box. And some are just metal. Some can be refrigerated or somehow cool if you got to put your groceries in there or something like that. So, yeah, you need that. It's a thing.
Cold
you can get the box
there.
Yeah, cold storage on your driveway. I don't know if they actually have them refrigerated, but anyway. Yeah, man, let's I got to get up to
let's go.
Let's wrap it up. I got a show I got to go to tonight. Yeah. So cool. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on. Nice to hear about your week. So coming up in the next week, you just pounding through the repairs?
Yeah, I'm going to do these 14M4Us. I'm going to try to get Bob's 14L5 recapped too. It is just filthy inside. It's like road hard.
Old Bob.
Oh, yeah, no.
Old Bob.
This is beyond Bob's doing. Actually, it's kind of funny. The two 14M4Us came from, they have CNN badges on them. So they came from CNN in New York at some point. And so they'll be done. I've got I'm going to start working on the XBR, which is a 32-inch, the big one, the next big one.
Cool.
So that'll be coming.
Looking forward to it, mate. I probably got mostly, honestly, I got to do the comedy work here this week. I'm mostly working on the shows. I'll be focusing on that. So a little bit more.
Well, everybody go check your new stuff coming out that you just put out.
Yeah, so watch that video, the Tell Him He's Dreaming video. And I have a video half filmed about the Mr. Add-ons controller lag tester. So Mr. Add-ons made it's like a homebrew project. It's made out of an Arduino, and you hook it into the controller and you hook it into the Mister, and it'll do a lag test for you, and it'll run like thousands of round trips going controller, Mister, controller, Mister, controller. And I built one of those, and now cool. I get it, and I know what's going on. So I'm just sort of trying to think of what's the narrative or the story around this video, because it's not you have to. It's almost perfect, but you need to somehow, if you've got a controller, you need to solder onto the controller. Like it attaches to the pads of the button. It's simulating a button press.
Right.
And that's the tricky thing. So you've either got what I do is the old pad hackers trick, which is you get a very fine screwdriver and you get a hand drill and you can make a very fine 1 mil hole through the circuit board, and then you've got a through hole to solder to, and it becomes quite sturdy, because if you just solder onto a flat pad, onto a flat surface, it's a bit difficult to do and doesn't hold on well.
Yeah, I think that's why those other guys get fancy and add like super glue and things to their wiring if they do it that way, which is just a whole nother
which I don't want to do. I'm not a big fan of it, if I can avoid. So, but the other thing I did is you can, however, I made a version that will attach directly to your arcade stick, because arcade stick buttons have standardized plugs. So I made a version, for testing arcade sticks, I made a version that's very quick to do that. So I got to work on that script a little bit. It kind of got you know what I mean? I got the technicals down, but now I have to think like what's up with that. So that's what I'm working on in the next week.
That's good stuff. That the Mr. Project is great. Still moving along every day. It's something new. So that's exciting.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in again, for listening to us ramble about CRTs. We appreciate it. See you next time, Steve.
See ya.